one of the one of the things about Berkeley was that we had a guest artist program. So there, important artists from New York came, like Milton Resnick was there, and I took class from him. And these are big male figures, Maughelli, Conrad Maughelli. These were all abstract expressionist artists, and collage. Maughelli was collage. But anyway, and so I was immersed in that until I did come in. And then I went to Italy on that Fulbright and stayed there 2 years and was immersed in the art in the Uffizi and Botticelli and Venice. And so I still continue to do these abstract works while I was over there. And then after later, they've been emerging, you know, but they didn't come out. I didn't say I'm going to use this Venus in this painting when I was over there. So I did not pursue that like people do with series, saying I'm going to do tulips today, or I don't mean to say it that way, but a certain kind of theme that they want to continue through and then pick up another theme the next time they have a show. It kind of makes more sense to people to have that, and it also makes it easier for the writers, like the guy at the Bee, the president of Bee. I know he doesn't know what else to say about my work now. I haven't put out, I mean, I'm doing collage with, but I'm still using similar imagery. I do look at a lot of art and and a lot of women's art. And Frida Kahlo I first heard about her in the 70s. She was such an important artist working with the personal about her life. And I have done some images. In fact, I was in the Women's Building in a show they had there, I think it was in the 80s by that time, of Frida Kahlo. And so I had done, that time I was doing, technically I was doing those Xerox transfers with that toxic xylene, which, you know, artists at that time were using all kinds of, some died, you know, because they used resins that affected their liver and stuff like that. Anyway, I was doing these transfers of Frida Kahlo, and so one of them was in the Women's Building, and but I was also part of the Grandview Gallery in the Women's Building, and I think that was largely probably through Judy Chicago, and I had an exhibit there in '74 at the Grandview Gallery at the Women's Building. Along at the same time, Susan Herman. There were Gallery 1 and Gallery 2, Grandview 1, Grandview 2, so she was in there. But the whole idea, I guess that's probably pretty well known, is that everything was supposed to be done by women. I mean, even the plumbing and whatever, they were trying to refurbish the space. But being in Fresno, we didn't come down to do that kind of labor. You know, that's what I mean by not being as active, maybe, because it's hard to do it all, I guess. Anyway, in terms of this making it thing, I've made it best with women's galleries, like the AIR gallery. I mean, they somehow, I just sent my slides and they accepted me, you know, that's unheard of, pretty much. Usually it's just rejection after rejection after rejection. Judy Chicago came in the spring of 1970 to Fresno State to teach. But yeah, Judy, she also, when she got involved with Women's Space, she invited me to exhibit in the opening exhibit of Women's Space. And Woman House, she invited a bunch of us down, and they did these fantastic performances, unbelievable. And then also when she had the Cal Arts, when she was teaching at Cal Arts, she did a symposium there, which was mind-blowing, really. A carload of us came down to that. I never really, except the time when she asked us to show our work to her students, I didn't really, you know, teach. We taught in the same university. It was still Fresno State College then, but anyway. But I really didn't teach in her classes or anything like that, you know, so it wasn't really, we were always invited to performances and events, and that was really great. Very supportive. And I was supportive of her. And they were, you know, she'd say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to present this at the meeting, or whatever. I said, sure. I'll support it, you know. 79 was when the dinner party was being shown at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, Judy Chicago's undertaking with many, many accomplished women making the ceramic images and the stitchery and woven pieces that went with the plates. Anyway, at the same time as that reception, they had the international dinner party. And so they wanted to have these dinner parties all over, wherever, all over the world, I guess, if there were people interested in doing that. So I did organize that, my activism. I think it's harder to read the innocence idea in this one here. It's the last thing I did. And I guess it references other artists. I mean, this is Earthworks, Smithson, Robert Smithson in Utah, the spiral jetty. In this case, I put the pigment on the back of the Xerox, and then I drew through, so I get this kind of clumsier line, which I rather enjoy, you know, of the touching the lower part of the body, the female part, the abdomen, you know, the fertility area, I guess. And then the little silhouettes of the figure come from an image of my sister, but I don't know that you can any longer see that. She was obviously, I made it red, I transformed it, but I kept that same diminutive figure standing on the spiral jetty, kind of in a row, and it also comes across over here too. I was at Dorland Mountain Arts Colonies where I started this. I seem to finish most of these things back in Fresno, but I did start these down there. And I somehow used this pattern of this rolling woman kind of intertwining, becoming like Siamese, I guess. I don't know quite what motivated me to do that. Here it is on its own without the woven element. Well, for now I'm still using the collage because I've enjoyed it, but I've become overwhelmed with paper, unfortunately. Tons of paper. And primary colors are often my favorites, as you can see. Red, yellow and blue, and black and white. Oh, there's some ochre, but the three primaries are often dominant. I'm not really, I'm not so sure that I am a reformer in art education, sadly. I mean, I always try to show images of women artists in my classes. I made a special effort to do that so that they would be, more people would be aware of women artists other than maybe, you know, they might know one woman, Cassatt maybe, or George O'Keeffe. I mean, they're both wonderful, but so I would try to get as many images to show that way. I never taught a feminist art class or that kind of thing. For some reason, that was not my, I don't know, I just never took that on, I guess. For a long time, painting was my main focus. And then, for some reason, I started painting on canvas. And then, for some reason, I started working on paper, works on paper, and printmaking became kind of important, overly important maybe. I taught it. I taught etching, woodcut, screen printing, lithography. Lithography was the one I became more interested in. I didn't have lithography as a student. I did have etching. So I went to Pratt Graphics Center in New York and did more work on lithography there. Plate lithography, photolithography, which was, again, brain-damaging chemicals. You know, we didn't know anything, you know, about wearing masks and gloves and all that stuff, you know. So, but anyway, I think, of course, process is so important in printmaking, and I do enjoy the process, but it increased the length of time to produce things. And this whole idea of doing additions. I even went to Tamarind on a little grant from the school to do a litho there, a collaboration. See, that was the thing. I'm a solitary person. Collaboration, these women in the feminists, they did a lot of collaborative things, performance and installation, because somehow I really I couldn't, that print that I went there to do, but it didn't work out that well. You know, you're working with this guy who says, here's the yellow, is this the yellow that you want? And you don't have any of the other colors there yet, and you're looking at this yellow saying, well, I guess so. Then there's no time to go back and try to change all that and redo the whole edition or something. So anyway, collaboration is a bit difficult, but it certainly helps a lot to have somebody do the work. I have to say, it makes it a little bit easier. I did want to say, we talked earlier about June Wayne, and she was such an important artist and contributor to the women's movement. She had these Joan of Arc seminars, and I was lucky enough to get into the second one, which had Rachel Rosenthal and a lot of well-known people, Claudia Chaplin, who had a gallery and moved to Northern California, Stinson Beach. She had a gallery. She closed that recently. But anyway, those are the only two I can think of immediately, but there were many well-known people. And she tried to teach women artists about being better business people, you know. And I would come down once a week to these sessions, which were invaluable, although it takes a long time to teach some people. Never became a really good business person, I'm afraid. Both teaching and painting are very time-consuming involvements, and I think that's been my life. Art has been my life. Teaching was also, was very important. I've been retired 13 years now, but it got so I really, physically, it was becoming too difficult because of heavier equipment and in printmaking and whatever. But yeah, I guess that's probably always torn between the two. I always spent the summers leaving Fresno and going to these artist colonies where I could produce work and not have to worry about taking care of the art or whatever. And although, I mean, I have a gardener, but that kind of thing. So that was my time. And I often went to residencies where I would produce art instead of just traveling around. You know, people say, why don't you take a trip, you know, just travel around. It would always be kind of goal-orientated to do some work.